Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Disgustingly Resilient podcast and another episode of Faction Fundamentals for the brand new Death Guard Codex. And in this one we're going to be doing a deep dive into all the character options available to our army. We're going to look at all of them, break them down a little bit and get through it. But if you do like the content, please leave a like and a comment. Subscribe even helps. If you really enjoy the content, consider becoming a Plague Marine. You get access to our Discord. You get access to our giveaways. One's just ended, Notorious Nurgle, congratulations again. And all the good community that we've built there is awesome. But for now, let's get straight into this one. So, what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be looking at our units, specifically the characters today. We're going to be going over a unit overview. We're going to talk about their stats, their abilities. We're not going to cover every single thing. We're going to look at the things that make them stand out. So, when it comes to like the Terminators, I don't need to keep repeating that they move 5. We all know that now. Marines move 5. I don't need to keep telling you that. But anything about the certain stats that they can bring, we'll point out. We're going to talk about some potential synergies they have. I'm also going to give you my overall personal rating on that unit. Any standout detachments that the unit's really shining, we'll mention. And just a quick thank you to all of our community on the Disgustingly Resilient podcast Discord, because all the pictures in this presentation / video you're going to see, they're all from our community. They are their painted models. It's just a little way we like to give back to our community who help us out and make videos by showcasing off their excellent work. So if you want to also potentially have your video featured, maybe consider becoming a Plague Marine. So let's jump into it. We'll start with the big man himself. Now I'm gonna upload front this. We're going to have a deep dive on Mortarian video on his own. He's a kind of character and he has the kind of abilities that require him to have his own video. So that will be coming. So right now we're going to look at him almost on a bare bones level. So we're not going to look at all the tricks, all the nonsense you can do. Even though there is a lot, we will have a full video dedicated to Mortarian and playing with him. However, as you can see right now, he's had a big glow up on his melee profile. So he does have an improved slam. His slam is still only 5 attacks, which kind of sucks. He has picked up devastating wounds, and he does now have d6 plus 1 damage, which is kind of a side grade. The real magic is obviously the sweep. Coming in with 15 attacks, strength 8, AP 2, and again, you can always take -1 save to make that AP 3 equivalent. 2 damage with sustained and lethal. You're going to be mowing through infantry like mad. Like, nothing's going to pin down Mortarian anymore. You know, if an opponent wants to try and lock him up with, you know, a unit of like 10 intercessors, that used to be very viable. It was really unlikely that Morty could kill them all. Now it's quite likely that Morty will kill all of them, which is really nice for a massive Primarch and supposed to be the Reaper of Death to actually be able to, you know, reap death. He's also still rocking his amazing Toughness 12, 2 up save, 4 up invulnerable, and the 5 up feel no pain. So he's still a tough cookie. Don't get me wrong. You put him in front of an anti-tank gun line, he will go down. But if you're smart with him, wait a little bit, remove some of your opponent's anti-tank resources, he can become an absolute menace on the battlefield. And if your opponent's brought an army that just can't deal with that kind of profile, you can just kind of just go on a romp stomp and have a lot of fun with him. He now also deals AoE, so AoE for anyone that's new, stands for area effect, so an aura, anything that's nearby. He deals AoE mortal wounds, so what this means is, at the end of the movement phase, Mortarian rolls a dice for every enemy that is within 6 inches of him, and you add 1 to it if they're in Contagion, which from turn 2 onwards they will be, so pretty much always. And on a 3 up, or a 2 up if they're in Contagion, he deals D3 mortal wounds to that target. So this is really rewarding for Mortarian getting to the thick of the action, sort of being stuck in the middle of a lot of enemy units, but don't throw him away just to try and get these mortal wounds off. These are really good at any point in the game. You don't have to throw him straight into the middle of the enemy army. You can just wait a bit. But he also does build into a weird mortal wound skew build when you take like Deathlord's Chosen, you take Mortarian, you take Typhus, you still have grenades and tank shocks and all that kind of thing, and stank shock, and you just do a ton of mortal wounds. He does have grenade keyword. Do never forget this. So there are plays you can do in stuff like Flyblown where you can grenade a target, get it low, then like charge in with something like Mortarian, punch it, kill it, and then allow a 6-inch piling consolidate off a friendly Death Shroud unit. So grenades in general, just having them around, you know, getting around those really tough units. Makari, for example, if you're stupid 2 up invulnerable, you can just grenade the little bastard and get him out of the way. So just remember he has grenade keyword, because it's a very unusual thing for a model like him to have, and it can actually come in clutch. You know, maybe you need to charge the unit over there, you need to make sure this tank dies here, so you're going to chuck all your shooting at that. Before you shoot, just chuck a grenade, do 3 mortals on average, then shoot it, kill it, charge everything, kill that. Then the real interesting bit about Mortarian is his once per turn reactive ability. Reactive move is silly good. There is so many stupid things you can do with it. If an opponent tries to AOC you on a point, you can then reactive move, put more guys onto the point. If an opponent is being aggressive into you and lining up some shooting, you can reactive move back behind a wall, or if you reactive move near a transport, you can embark. So you can have Death Shroud in your turn, have a Land Raider go for a wall, get guys out, they charge, kill something, and as long as they're within, 8 inches of the Land Raider, and then Morty's nearby, if an opponent tries to pressure them back or even move near them, you move them back within 3 inches of the Land Raider and re-embark it. Now they've got to crack that thing open again. If they don't, it's just going to move an assault ramp again. And this works for rhinos as well, so it's really, really good. There's so much jank you can do. And it's great. It's such a powerful ability. You can also just move block with it. Someone's coming to charge Mortarian, and like, cool, I've got like a 5-inch charge, and then you suddenly reactive move like a unit of like 10 Poxwalkers just in the way, and now it's suddenly like a 10-inch charge if they want to go all the way around, or they can just hit the Poxwalkers. Really, really good. And again, we'll have a full video breaking down all the tricks you can do with Mortarian. You also have the shoot back, so once you've been shot, now bear in mind, you have to survive the shooting. You declare it when you're declared as a target. So if someone says, I'm going to shoot your tank, I go, okay, I'm going to use my ability. If this tank survives, it will shoot you back. However, if the tank dies, you have used the ability, so you don't get to pick another one, and you don't obviously get to shoot back because it's dead. So be aware, this is the riskiest one, but it's still nice. You put 10 Blight Lords in the middle, some infantry unit fool walks around a corner and just wants to like shoot them to apply in a stratagem, and suddenly you just fire back and pick up that unit for free. Obviously, it just means that any army, like especially if you're holding tight angles, like warp spiders would love to like teleport behind you, shoot you a load of torrent weapons, and now they might kill quite a bit of Plague Marines. But even if you just keep your 2 flamers alive and shoot back with them, because of the stats like Eldar, like 1 wound each, and then you have AP on your flamers, like you just kill them. It's like, cool, you die as well at the end. And then the last one is obviously the Fight on Death 2-up. I don't really need to tell you why Fight on Death 2-up is great. Good luck if you're a melee army trying to trade into Death Guard with Mortarian. As long as they keep the important units near him, every single time you go into that unit, they go Fight on Death 2-up. And they take you out as well, because Death Guard damage output is insane. So, and Mortarian himself can use it. You go 2-up, cool, Fight on Death and Mortarian. So you finally commit to come and kill Mortarian, and then whatever killed Mortarian just takes a massive chunk or just gets deleted straight up itself. So it's a really good ability. Mortarian in general, I actually really like him. I give him like an 80% of personal rating. He has good synergy with the army now. He's not as stupidly overpowered as he used to be. He's still very strong, but he's just overpowered for different reasons back then. Because Ignore Modifiers is just stupid, and he was 300 points, which is just a joke. So he's kind of took a side grade, slight nerfs, slight buffs. But he feels a lot more fun, feels a lot better to play with, feels a lot more interesting to play with as well. So I really rate him. I don't think he's an auto take. I don't think he's an auto leave at home. I think he's an interesting question where you decide whether you want to take Mortarian or not, which is always a good place to be with a Primarch. You don't want to be Magnus where you have to make a list with Magnus, or previous Morty where everything had Morty in it. And you don't want a list now where, unfortunately, like World Eaters have got, where Angron basically just stays in the bin now because they just nuked him from orbit. So he's in a really good spot. So if you like Mortarian, you want to run Mortarian, go for it. It's a great choice. I'm not going to say it's a bad choice. If you don't want to run Mortarian, you like me, I don't really like these massive centerpiece models. Too risky for me. Don't run him. There's nothing wrong with that. So he's in a fantastic spot right now, and I will be playing him eventually because the tricks you can do with him are really funny. But for right now, I'm gonna put him on the sideline, but he's not on the bench. He's on the sideline. He's waiting to have the, whoop, sub me in, coach, and he'll be here sooner rather than later. So on to the next one. Typhus, my boy. Typhus is one of my favorite. He is my favorite character in all of 40k. He's such a villain. I love him. So Typhus is pretty much the same from the index. He's got a little bit of improvements. I'm not gonna assume that you know that though. Maybe you're brand new to Death Guard. So what he does rock, he rocks the standard Terminator stat line of toughness 7. All of our Terminator characters are toughness 7, 6 wounds, 2 up, 4 up, invulnerable. That's a really good stat line to have. Quite hard to bring down. Nice, durable. We like that as a character. He's also now got an improved attack, so he's gone 6 attacks now at flat 3 damage, strength 9, rather than 8 of the normal Man Reapers with his weapon, which is really a good place to be. Flat 3 damage in the game at the moment is incredible. Most elite models that are really strong are 3 wounds. Think of our own guys. We've got like Blight Lords. What makes Death Shroud so good is they're 4. Inner Circle Companion, Sanguinary Guard, all these kind of units, these elite melee units, are all 3 wounds. So being able to just one-tap every single one of them every time they fail a save is really good. And with 6 attacks now, improved from 5, that's really good. We've also got 12 sweep attacks, which are genuinely no joke anymore because they have a natural AP. So with -1 save Contagion, these are now basically going to be AP 2, which is a really good place to be. And you double your attacks pretty much. So every Death Shroud will have 8, Typhus will have 12. So, you know, in a squad of 3 guys, you've got 8, 16, 24 plus the 12. So that's 38 attacks. You're never getting bogged down. 3 Death Shroud and Typhus, or even a lot of Contagion, which we'll get to, can never get bogged down in combat by like 20 Hormagaunts. You will just sweep and kill the ball, so it's really good. The main reason we like Typhus, though, is you can, on a 2-up, deal D6 mortal wounds to an enemy unit within 18 inches. Now, very quickly, this can be done while you're doing actions. This can be done after advancing. This can be done in melee combat. This can be done even if your unit's already shot. This can be done if you basically if you're just deep struck in. It goes off. You can't stop it. It doesn't matter if he's battle shock, doesn't matter if he's advanced, doesn't matter if he's stuck in combat, doesn't matter about anything. This goes off regardless. Roll your 2-up. Being able to just say something takes D6 mortal wounds, it's very powerful. Now, don't get me wrong, he hurts himself on a 1, and he'll always do that whenever you need it the most. But being able to just point at a target and just say take D6 mortal wounds is a very powerful ability. Lots of things in the game are very tough. You know, you've got 2-up armor save, armor contempt. Him just being able to drop down, go D6 mortal wounds, followed by a grenade for 3 mortal wounds on average. And then you run some spawn into it, and they get hit and deal 3 mortal wounds. Like, cool. I've just done 6 plus D6 mortal wounds to a really tough unit. Because reasons. Like, it's really good. And if you roll a 6, it's D3 plus 3. So the ceiling of it doesn't increase. It's still only 6 max. But the minimum you can get is 4. So the amount of times I've just looked at a character that's like been on its own, just been like dead, or just look at a tank and just been like dead. Sometimes it's worth waiting on Typhus until like the last moment to use his mortal wounds, because you never know when you shoot like a predator, maybe drop a tank down to 3 wounds. Now I can wait and go, oh okay, I can either now commit my second predator to try and kill that unit, or I can just see if Typhus finishes off, because if Typhus finishes off, that predator can now shoot something else. So always remember that, but it's really good. Another thing, the mortal wounds caused by this psychic ability can also resurrect Poxwalkers. That rule is on the Poxwalker datasheet. So what this means is you can do, again, we have a Typhus masterclass. It is index Typhus, but there is still quite a bit in there that's valuable and viable because it hasn't changed much. You can smite someone, we call it smite, by the way, psychic attack. It's not, it's called the Eater Plague, but we just refer to it as smite. It's a 9th edition, 8th edition thing. So you can smite a unit, kill some models, and then you can regrow the Poxwalkers at the front of your unit if you want to get an easier charge, for example. So it's just really good, especially if against 1 wound model factions like Guard or Admech. You just smite, potentially get a 6, kill 6 dudes. There's 6 zombies back. My charge is easier. I'm now like tougher to kill because I've got 6 extra bodies in here. It's really good. And on top of this, he's also a -1 to be hit in the fight phase. This used to be incredibly good when our Contagion was -1 weapon skill, ballistic skill, because it would stack. It no longer stacks because they're both just -1 to hit, which is a bit of a downgrade for old Typhus boy here. But it's still a nice ability to have if you're against any armies that have pluses to hit, because it's still stacked then. Or if you're taking -1 save Contagion, like I pretty much always do, then it's nice to just have this little -1 to be hit in the fight phase, especially when someone's trying to chug through like 20 Poxwalkers or Death Shroud. Every dice dropped is really going to hurt them. So it's a good solid ability. But I really still like Typhus. He does all the jobs you need to do. You can go in a big unit of Poxwalkers, you can join Death Shroud, and you can even just run Typhus solo. He's great to just deep strike in somewhere, start doing an action, or just do a containment, do a sabotage. And while you're doing it, deploy Locust, whatever it is, and while you're doing it, you can still hit something for D6 mortal wounds for 90 points, and then someone has to kill him, because if you don't, he's going to start walking around with his 6 attacks and flat 3 damage and dealing mortal wounds still and punking stuff. So it's very also hard to screen out a single base. Like a single 50mm base is not easy to screen out, so Typhus can usually get where he wants to be. And if they do put all the effort into screening him, then they're having to put a lot of effort into screening him out, which means they're obviously extending units, making sure everything's not going to be as effective in the actual fight. I really like Typhus still. He's a bit overshown at the moment by a certain Lord of Contagion, but he's still super solid for 90 points that he is. Yeah, you can't go wrong. Like, Typhus, great including any list. Okay, so Lord of Virulence. Lord of Virulence is a very interesting one right now, and I think most lists are going to take at least one of this guy. So, output-wise, he's okay. He's got 5 attacks. He's finally learnt to swing his Power Fist, so he hits on 2s at flat 2 damage, which is okay. You're going to kill a couple Marines. There's nothing wrong with that. But the real reason you bring this guy is for the support role more than anything. So he's still got the same Terminator stat line, so he's still chunky, nice, like that. But the main reason is, one, he gives his squad that he's in full rerolls to wound for shooting. This is really good on things like Blight Lords, but it's also horrific on anti-infantry flamers of the Death Shroud. You wound on 4s with full rerolls, so you're basically getting a 75% wound rate conversion. So with that many flamers, it makes it horrendous, and it does work in Overwatch. So if you Overwatch, you're going to be wounded on 4s with full rerolls, potentially at -1 save Contagion. It's one of the most horrific things. I used to rapid ingress this guy with 6 Death Shroud next to an enemy unit that I wanted to charge and just look at them and be like, cool, move, I dare you. It's a really good ability. Reroll wounds is always super powerful, so good ability. Then he got a new role, Blight Bombardment. He picks a visible target within 30 inches. Now, your army will get reroll 1s to hit versus that target. However, if you have brought any blast weapons, that instead gets full rerolls to hit. So just being able to pick something and give out a mini oaths of moment, like a plague oaths, is really good, as you can imagine. Now, it does only affect Death Guard units, so don't think you can bring along knights and they get the rerolls, just be aware. But being able to just reroll hits in this game, especially with the fact that he also reroll wounds himself, he can make his squad super efficient. If he's with Blight Lords, they can hit on 3s, reroll 1s, and then full rerolls to wound. That's really good for efficiency. And the fact that our entire army can benefit from it means that if he even is with Death Shroud, who don't reroll to hit, he can mark something else for the rest of his army to shoot at, while he then goes and walks around with his reroll wound flamers, which is, again, really, really solid. The real magic comes with this guy with heavy Blight Launcher drones. These things are just silly. I've got another 2 that I need to paint up. I always ram one anyway, because it's my favourite unit, and I've always said that. I've always had one on my lists. But now having 3 of them at 100 points each, when the blast weapons at strength 10, AP 2 and flat 3 damage, full rerolls to hit with lethal hits. Yes, please. That's a 390 point package for one of the nastiest little fire bases, and they're so small. Look how tanky their bases are. They're so easy to put down. It's not like an exocrine that's fucking massive. They're easy to put down, they're easy to hide, they're easy to get angles and shoot with. So he's a staple in the list at the moment for me. He's pretty much in every single list. He's not the best himself, it's just what he brings to buff those already good units up to the next level. So like for me right now, awesome, solid pick. Put him in most of your lists, 90 points. I'm happy to see him back on the table. And yeah, again, people even just run him solo. Like, again, you can just run him solo when your backline's marking targets. People are not going to focus on killing him because there's more scary things you need to deal with first. And there's also ways to give him loan up in many detachments, so just be aware of that. So yeah, Lord of Virulence, great choice. Also good if you like PBCs, because obviously you can deep strike in, mark a target. You can even do it solo. And all your PBCs can reroll to hit with that 4 up to hit indirect, which makes it a lot more reliable. Really, really, really solid character. LOC, talk about glow up. Look at the stats on this boy. This guy is a freight train of power. This guy. So when we talk about the stats at the top, just very quickly, the stats are relevant to their cost and who they are. So like, yes, technically Mortarian deals more damage than this guy, but he has a lower output rating because for what he is and the cost of him, this guy brings far more output. So this guy, not only does he have a flat 3 damage weapon, we've already talked about how good that is on the Typhus page. Flat 3 damage is just super solid in the game right now. He also has a sweep attack again, super relevant. He also packs grenades, the only way to give our Terminator squad's grenade keyword, so the fact he can just grenade something is really good as well. But he also gives the squad Sustained and Lance. So this now, we have Death Shroud, or Blight Lords, or himself, with Sustained 1, Lethal Hits, and Lance. So you are 60s to hit, auto wound, get you an additional hit roll, and if you've charged, you're +1 to your wound roll because of Lance. That's a lot of damage, and there are many ways in the game, like Champions of Contagion, you can now give him crit 5s. So his squad will have critical hit 5s, which are all exploding hits and lethal hits, so you have lethal sustained 5s with Lance followed up by. We rolled it out on VT for a laugh, and 6 Death Shroud plus a lot of Contagion into Canis Rex did enough damage to kill him 3 times over, which is really funny, really funny. So, yeah, he hits like an absolute freight train. He's actually durable as well because he's a once per game 2-up resurrect. And do bear in mind, only 1 Lord of Contagion can do this per battle round. So if you have 2 die in the same battle round, only 1 of them can roll for this. Kind of puts me off running more than 1. Plus he's very expensive as well. But again, the fact that this guy can charge in, kill something, and then potentially get shot or charged and killed, and then gets back up and gets to go and apply his damage again, like, it's very hard to not get value off this guy. He's incredibly chunky, he's incredibly hard hitting, And there's a plethora of like really good enhancements to give him. Like you go Tallyman, you give him demon weapons, you give him +2 attacks. You go Virulent Vectorum, you give him +1 strength, +1 attack, dev wounds. You can go the Champions of Contagion, give him 5 up crit, I think, weapon. That's not that one, that is also Virulent Vectorum, sorry. But still, there's plenty of weapon damage increase enhancements this guy really likes. Flyblown Host regenerates to full wounds. So for the first time they kill him, he gets back up on a 2-up and then he heals to full. Cool, have fun killing him again. He's really good. So this guy is 100% going to be in a lot of lists. Like, put him in. Get a Lord of Contagion. If you can get the old model, like the one on the screen here, excellent. If you get the Lord Felfius, it's alright. But I prefer the old one. He just slaps so goddamn hard. And I just want to say, you don't need a Lord of Contagion in every Death Shroud squad. You really don't. Lord of Contagion is a hammer for when your opponent has brought a nail. Like they have a big scary thing, and he just goes, cool, I'm going to go kill that. So he's incredibly fun to play with, he's incredibly powerful, and the damage output he brings to the army, as well as being a pain in the ass with his 2-up stand back up, like he's 10 out of 10. He is, and it was such an incredible glow up. Please run a Lord of Contagion. Find some fun enhancements to put on him and just have a blast. He's such a great unit. Absolute 10 out of 10. Lord of Epoxies, new kid on the block. Right. Lord of Epoxies is interesting. He's a bit of a strange one. He's rocking 6 attacks, 2 damage each. So he's got a power fist stat line. So 822, 832 if you take -1 save contagion, with lethal hits and devastating wounds. So that might not scream powerful off the page, but it is the most powerful Plague Marine leader we can add for output wise. No other Plague Marine leader has even close to the quality of attacks. He's also weapon skill 2, so you're going to hit at least 5 of them on average. 1 of them should be lethal, and then you have 2s to wound versus most infantry. With dev wounds on there as well, this guy slaps pretty goddamn hard. Like Lord of Contagion, he's also a great example for something to be able to get an enhancement on him. He really likes enhancements again. +1 attack, +1 strength. Dev wounds is a bit wasted on this guy. You don't really need that because he's already got dev wounds. +1 strength, +1 attack's good. Tallyman, just give him +2 attacks, sweet. Give him 5+ crits, put a Playcaster in there, now he's 5+ crits, lethal sustains. There's lots of things this guy can do, really nice. He's also the only Plague Marine character, so the character that can join Plague Marines, with a 4-up invulnerable, which makes him a lot more durable, a lot harder to bring down. He also has an extra wound, a lot of them have 4 wounds, he has 5 wounds, so against 2 damage weapons, it's going to take an extra one to bring him down, and that's going to obviously stack with the invulnerable to make him more durable, which is really good. He also rocked a permanent 3 inches to his contagion range, not his unit, just him himself, this model. So bear that in mind, but having extra contagion is good, it means it's easier to spread out contagion, get stuff in inflicted range, get those debuffs rolling, get those death shroud being able to deep strike 6. Contagion's really good, it's really important, there's many ways to spread it now, this is just another vector for you to go about. Ha, vector, plague jokes. He also grants his squad an 18-inch low nut bubble. That's pretty useful. 18 inches is, it's not 12 for sure, it's more play aroundable than 12, but what we'll say is people write it off, but having to force an opponent to come within 18 inches of your unit to shoot it often means exposing themselves far more than they'd like. So if you know someone's got to come within 18 to shoot you, you can set up counter shots. So you can set up a predator around a corner, a defiler, the bloat drones ready to shoot back. And your opponent's put in a hard place where it's like, I need to shoot this Lord of Epoxies, but to do so exposes me to so much. Whereas before, they could shoot you from 30 miles away and just hide safely. So it's not going to stop you getting shot a lot of the time, but it's going to make it awkward for your opponent to shoot you. And you just need to make sure that's what you punish, rather than relying on yourself just not getting shot. So just bear that in mind. But this guy's, I actually quite like this guy. His synergy is not the greatest of the other units. He doesn't actually give anything to his squad, part of the lone up 18. But he does increase the durability a little bit because of the lone up, for example. He does have a bit of synergy with other units from his contagion spreading, that affliction. But I just really like him for his attacks. Like, he's quite cheap, and I quite like him as just a smash character. You just put him in a squad of 5 guys, you give them all melee weapons, you send them onto an opponent's objective, because in a 5-man squad, you get 6 heavy plague weapon attacks, 3 power fist attacks from the sergeant, and then his 6. So you have 15 strength 8 AP2/3 damage 2 attacks, followed by 8 bubotic weapon attacks. For a 5-man and a character, that's like 160 points. It's a lot of damage. That's going to kill a lot of things. So I actually really like him for that role. But there's other uses for him. As you can say, you can use him as defensive character or foul blight spawn, sit on a point, know you've got fights first, where you can't be shot from outside of 18, so you're not going to get indirected off. Really good, solid little character and a great addition to our range. I like him. Do bear in mind he's not a Virion character though, which means you can't have 2 of him in a squad, not like you would do, but you also can't have him and a Plaguecaster in a squad because they are not Virion characters, unfortunately. So you can't, I think I said before, even put him with a caster, you can't. The main problem being that because he's not a Virion, the Virion characters will come to, they are the only ones with the rule that lets them join a squad if there's already a leader attached. He cannot do it, so he cannot, and the Malignant Playcaster cannot, so that combo can never go together, which is unfortunate, because I would love to give this guy sustained. So, yeah, that's the only bit of a downside there. Demon Prince, the big chunky boy, talk about Glope again. Demon Prince is now a big chunky boy. Toughness 12, 10 wounds, 2 up, 4 up. Toughness 12 is genuinely a good breakpoint. There are a lot of strength 6 melee in the game. There's a lot of strength 12 anti-tank in the game. Being T12 matters. Being wounded on 4s by those strength 12 weapons and being wounded on 6s by strength 6 is a big deal. So, very good breakpoint. He's also now got 7 attacks. He got an extra attack with lethal as well now, which is nice. So, he's not as terrible. Flat 3 damage, we talked about how good that is. Flat 3 damage is great. The main problem with this guy is he's only strength 8. Strength 8 is not great. It's good for killing infantry. You can kill infantry all your days. But against toughness 10 battle tanks, he's going to need 5s to wound, which is not great. Which does also mean this guy is a great recipient for anything that increases damage output. Again, Furnace of Plagues, +1 strength, takes you up to 9. You get them in Contagion, they come down to T9. You now wounded on 4s. Pretty good. Against anything that's T9, now they're T8, you're strength 9. Now you're wounded on 3s. Pretty good. Plus you get Dev Wounds and extra attack. That's good. But do be aware, you're not going to like walk into knights and just pick them up. He's not that kind of character. You're just going to go for infantry really and light vehicles. You don't want to go putting this guy into big things. Now, that's not all it's about though. It's not just about smash character. He also gets loan up if he's within 3 inches of an infantry unit. Really good. Can't be shot outside of 12 now. It's true loan up. True loan up. Very, very good. Means he's much more survivable, not just going to get punked from across the board. Great. He also has a 6-inch aura of cover. Cool. Synergy. They make him loan up. He makes them harder to kill. I like having 1-up save effective Terminators in the open. It's pretty good. It means they don't have to pay for go to ground. It means that they just have to shrug off the first AP naturally, unless they're ignore cover. And that's always good to have. Increases durability and himself. It works on himself, so he technically has a 1-up save as well. Really good, solid, easy little ability to remember. The real magic, though, is the 12-inch aura of -1 command point for strats. So, let's get this correct. This is once per battle round, not once per turn. So your opponent's turn and your turn is a battle round. So once per battle round. You don't get to do it in your turn and theirs. It's once per battle round. So make sure you know what you're using it on and you make the right choice. He can use it on himself as well as allied units in 12 inches. So you can use it to make his own stratagems free. You can use it to make stratagems free. So if it's 1 command point cost stratagem and you -1 it, it does become a free stratagem at that point. And it also works on generic stratagems. Doesn't have to be Death Guard. You can free Grenade. You can free Go to Ground. You can free Smoke Screen. You can free Heroic Intervention. Lots of things that are really good. Never forget the generic stratagems there. Even just a free Grenade on a turn or a free Smoke. It's just, if you're not going to spend it on anything else, make sure you get value. Just pop a Smoke, pop a Grenade, pop a Tank Shock. Do something. Make sure you get value out of this. It's really good. There are a lot of powerful stratagems for Death Guard now. Loads of them that give reroll to hits and wounds, which is bonkers. Loads of great defensive ones. +2 toughness, -1 damage. Lots of 2 command point stratagems as well. 2 command points is hard to swallow. Making them 1 command point, a lot easier to swallow. Like -1 damage for 1 command point in Virulent Vectorum. That's really, really good. So this guy, you're definitely going to see in Virulent Vectorum. 100%, I think you always see him in there. But I can make an argument for this guy being in Mortarian's Hammer, being in Champions of Contagion, because he just... Our stratagems are really good, and making him cheap and free is really good. And it's not just that, he's also pretty tough. Like in Virulent Vectorum, you give him a 5-up Feel No Pain. Now he's got Mortarian stats, just with 6 less wounds, but he has loan up. That's tough. That's tough to beat. So he's very, very good. So this guy is a great carrier for enhancements, great in most detachments because the stratagem making them less is really good. He's okay at punching into stuff. He's pretty good at killing infantry, and elite's very good at killing elite infantry. He's bad at killing those heavy vehicles, so just be aware of that. But overall, I'm putting this guy in most of my list at this point. I really, really like this character. Very, very good. Unfortunately, we come to this fella, the Winged Demon Prince, who is unfortunately like, he's like the sibling that never got the love as a child. Speaking from experience. I'm joking. But yeah, he's same Same profile stat line wise on the attacks anyway. His gun is for some reason 2 strength higher, like who cares? But he's toughness 11, which is just no way near as important as 12 as a breakpoint. It's not bad. There's a lot of strength 10 in the game, so being 11 does help, but 12 is a much more important break climb. He gets 12-inch movement instead of the 8, and he also has fly keyword, which is pretty good. This guy can also deep strike, so you can do rapid ingress plays. Not bad. The problem is he's not lone op, which means he's pretty easy to just kill, especially without the toughness 12 as well. And his rules are just not great. So he forces Battle Shock in the charge phase at a -1. It's okay. Like, sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. Like, it stops defensive stratagems being used, can flip an objective for free, because you score, like, Storm Hostile at the end of your turn, he can run onto a point. Doesn't matter if the unit's 20 OC, you Battle Shock them, they go to 0. At the end of the turn, you hold it, score Storm Hostile. They'll obviously still hold it in their command phase, because they un-Battle Shock, but it can help you score secondaries. And then he has a 6-inch aura of forcing Desperate Escapes. Now, here's the thing with Desperate Escapes. They're great when you force people to fall back. So if he was an infantry model, like Exalted 8-bound used to be, having to fall back from him and basically risk dying is scary, because if you don't fall back, I can't shoot that infantry unit, because infantry can't be shot in combat. However, he's a monster, which means he can still be shot even if he's in combat, meaning you don't really need to fall back from him. Not only that, people, when they fall back from units that he's in combat with, they're not too fussed if like 1 or 2 intercessors, guardsmen die. Okay, elite units, sure, but like anything else, they're not too fussed. The fact it doesn't work on monsters and vehicles makes me upset. If this affected monsters and vehicles and you could potentially just one-shot any vehicle in the game because it fell back on a 1 to 3, sorry, your opponent's just not going to fall back. And then it's powerful. Then it's like, okay, so now you're not falling back. So I'm still going to get shot, admittedly, and probably die, admittedly. But I'm going to stop you just falling back for free. That's actually quite interesting. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So it's just a kind of a mess of the rules. If there was something that said he can't be shot while he's in combat, that would be good, because it's like keep him in combat, can't be shot. If he could get the lone op rule the other guy had, so he could make use of that, that would be real nice. If you could trap people in, so instead of making Desperate Escape, it was you can't fall back, he could then support infantry, because when he's near them, he's lone op. When he tags infantry in combat, and your infantry tag him, and stops them falling back, you now can't be shot because you're lone up, and your infantry can't be shot because they're in combat. That would be really good. Unfortunately, what we're left with is what kind of wants to be like a beat stick character that just flies around and we call them smash captains, as used to be the phrase from Blood Angels. He just flies around and just punches stuff to death, but he doesn't hit hard enough. He's okay at killing infantry, pretty good against elite infantry, like we said, but he can't kill vehicles. He's just not that smashy, and he has no rules to help him smash, like a couple 1s and 2s on the wound roll, and like cool, you're not actually hitting that hard. So unfortunately, this guy's kind of the first real stinker we're going to cover. I still think you could play with him, potentially just deep strike, rapid ingress, just go punch stuff and have fun. He's still pretty good with enhancements, like 5 up feel on pain. This guy is still annoying to deal with, as it is for the footprints. So there are some plays of him, but I just think the problem is he's the same points cost as the other one. That's the biggest problem. And while they're both the same points cost, there is zero reason you can tell me to convince me to take this guy over the Foot Demon Prince. So unfortunately, Mr. Winged One, you're in the bin for now. Okay. So, Malignant Playcaster. Again, talk about glow up. This guy I already really enjoyed for the Plague Bus memes, where you put 2 of them in a Rhino and you shot the flamer out the top because they have a really good gun. But now he actually does a bit more than that. So, firstly, he's not a Viridian character, so remember that. He can't join a lot of Poxes, and you also can't have 2 of these in the same squad. Not that you probably would do that, but just bear in mind, you can't do that anymore. However, this is weird because this guy can lead both Poxwalkers and Plague Marines, so you have a bit of an option there. He's not just stuck to Plague Marines, he can lead Poxwalkers, so all the buffs we're about to talk about, he can give to them as well. So, whenever the squad targets something that's afflicted in Contagion range, etc., the squad gets sustained 1 to all its weapons, melee and shooting. So you can shoot with sustained, you can melee with sustained. That is very good. That is a very powerful ability. Extremely good with one of the characters we're going to cover shortly. It's really, really powerful. Not only that, he has a really good flamer. 12-inch range, D6 plus 3 shots, so you're a minimum 4, maximum 9. Strength 6, AP 2/3, because again, contagions. D3 damage. We used to run this guy purely as a gun. We put 2 of them in a Rhino and shoot out the top hatch. That still works, and they got cheaper. Not only that, they now also buff squads with sustained hits. This guy is still really, really good. -2 to infantry on when he shoots, though, has been nerfed. So it used to be -2 move, advance, and charge. Now it's just -2 to move, and you can no longer stack it. So you used to be able to stack it, so if 3 guys shot the same squad, that squad would be -6 to move, -6 to advance, and -6 to charge, and it was really funny. They have fixed that, so you can't do that anymore. And do also bear in mind, this rule does not work from the firing deck of rhinos, so you can't shoot out the top of the rhino and slow people down. However, this guy, in conjunction with some of the strats from like Champions of Contagion, which can give the squad crit 5s, makes this guy really, really good, especially if you're looking at melee squads. Melee squads have lethal hits on all the weapons anyway. If you're in Champions of Contagion, sustained in the squad and lethal on the melee weapons, and then you have one command point, strat, to make them crit 5s, like a Biops Putrefire, you now have a squad that's lethal, sustained, crit 5s in melee, with all the melee weapons you can take. That's really powerful for the price of one character. You don't need any more characters in there. So if you're tight on points, a full melee squad with Malignant Playcaster, even a 7-man squad is fine. With an NPC, it's like 185 points for a 7-man, and like this guy, for a unit that will kill most things pretty reliably with the sustained hits in close combat, especially if you crit 5s it. So he's really good. I genuinely think this guy is like in every list at the moment. He combos really well with Biops Putrefire in other detachments like Virulent Vectorium, because you get lethal, sustained, crit 5s, and you can do that in the shooting phase. And then you give him the stratagem for rerolling all hits and wounds, and you just go, cool, everything within 12 inches dies, which is really funny. So he's very good at the moment. Not to mention he also has just, again, a really, really solid shooting attack. And because it's Torrent, he also adds to the Overwatch threat of the unit. So if you're using a unit, maybe you've got like, you know, some Plague Spears in there. I'm painting some guys up right now with the Plague Spears. You have some of these guys in there. That's now going to be like 2d6 anti-infantry 2-up flamers, followed by d6 plus 3, strength 6, AP 2/3, d3 damage flamer. And then if you've got like a Foul Blight spawn in there as well, there's another d6 anti-infantry 2-up flat 2 damage flamer. Like, nobody's going to want to eat that. Nobody's going to want to come anywhere near that. So it's a really good Overwatch threat as well. Overall, I think the Malignant Playcaster is brilliant. Just be aware he does not have an invulnerable. He is most vulnerable to getting precisioned out, so keep him safe in that manner. But this guy adds so much damage output to a squad now, not only from his own weapon, but from the sustained hits. Yeah, he's pretty much auto-taking most lists for me as well at the moment. If I'm taking Plague Marines, I'm taking a Playcaster at some point. So, big up Playcaster. I knew you were more than just a Plague Bus all along. Now you're not only just a great Plague Bus, now you are a great Plague Buff. A Plague Bus to Plague Buff. Hell yeah. Mr. Foul Blight Spawn. Okay, Foul Blight Spawn still does what he's meant to do, which is the I don't like melee matchups. So, very quickly, this guy does have grenade keyword, which means if you run him solo, which might be an option now, you can still grenade things, which is pretty fun as a little solo character. You still have a d6 strength 7 anti-infantry 2-up flamer with AP 2 and 2 damage. Again, AP 3 if in Contagion because of -1 save. Very powerful weapon. Really good. Overwatch is really nasty. You spray some units and you'll just... Sometimes you'll just spray unit noise marines and kill them all. It's really good. The new thing he's got is that enemy units cannot start or end advanced moves within 9. So any advance and charge army, get fucked. You just can't come within 9 of him, which sometimes means you might even take him solo and just put him as a wall between your army and theirs and go, cool, you cannot advance anywhere into the midboard. Get walking. That is such a powerful ability. If he's on a objective with a squad behind a wall, and for example, you've got like 3 Plague Marines on the point behind a wall, there are some terrain setups where your opponent cannot walk with a normal infantry squad that moves 6 from behind their wall onto your objective. So even if they don't want to come and fight you in close combat because you can fight first because of this guy, they have to advance to get onto the point. But they can't advance because the Foul Blight spawn says you can't finish an advance within 9. So they just cannot take that point off you. Which means they either have to charge you, in which case, cool, eat a fight first and die, or you walk forward 6, stand in the open for a turn, and then try and walk onto the objective next turn. And that's not going to work, because if you stand in the open, I'm going to shoot you to death. It's really good. That ability is so underrated right now. It is a fantastic ability. War turn, get fucked. Blood Angels advance and charge, get fucked. Like, everything just... Get out of here. You ain't winning. So it's really good. Very good. Now, one thing to remember, his fight first is now once per game per Foul Blight spawn. So only one of them can also do it in a battle round. So if you've got 3 Foul Blight spawns and they all get charged, only one of them can use fights first. So do bear that in mind. It's really not that big of a deal, honestly. Most of the times people having the threat of fight first is more important than the fight first. And I've never really used it because people just wouldn't charge him. But the fact you've still got it, even though it's once per game, it's probably all you need. So I wouldn't even look at that as a nerf. And it's mainly just to stop people spamming him. But I'll be honest, like, I could still see an argument for 2 because, you know, like, that aura is just really good. Just 9 inches. And again, people can't run away from you. It's like, cool, you're trying to advance to get away from me? Nope, you can't. Move 6. And if you slowed them with a Playcaster, move 4. Like, it's so good. Like, this little guy, and again, this you could put 2 of these in a Rhino, like the Plague Bus, shoot them out of the fire index, you have like you have a 2d6 shot, anti-infantry 2 up, -3 because of Contagion, 2 damage Flamer, and then at any point, they can become utility, you just hop them out in front of the enemy army and go, cool, no one can advance within 9 of me. I don't care if I die, like, no one is moving anywhere, I hold my primary for this turn, who cares? So, really, really good. Far Blight spawn is super up there at the moment. Really, really like this guy. Probably should rate him about 80% now I'm talking about him a bit more. Really, really good unit. Really good. Noxious Blightbringer, strange one. Oh, by the way, these are all Virion characters from now on. So from that guy onwards, they're all Virion. These are the ones that you can attach 2 of them to a squad, so just bear that in mind. They're all the same stat line, T6, 4 wounds each, and 3 up saves. They're all squishy, so bear that in mind. Noxious Blightbringer, weird unit. This guy can lead Poxwalkers and Plague Marines again. He gives the unit +1 move, reroll advance and charge rolls. He's got 5 attacks with a 2 damage weapon, but it is 0 AP, although it is anti-Psycho 2+, weirdly. +1 move is good on a slow army. I know it doesn't sound much, but for us it's literally a 20% movement speed increase, which is good. Reroll advance and charge is going to be good when you need to get to places. I like it on the zombies just to make sure they can get into good spots, move block more effectively, and make those silly charge rolls to try and lock stuff up. So actually, that rule is pretty good. His other one, the 9-inch aura that forces Battleshock tests for any unit that's below starting strength. So, if a single entity model, like this humble Rhino here, takes a single wound, he has 9 wounds now, if he is near the Noxious Blightbringer, even though he's only lost 1 wound, he has to take Battleshock tests. That is what it means. If I have a squad of 10 guardsmen and 1 is dead, I have to take Battleshock tests, even though they're not below half. That is what it means. It's good. Battleshock is one of the rules where it doesn't matter until it does. And when it does matter, it flips an entire game because someone no longer can do a secondary, can no longer hold a primary. You can't use that defensive strike. You can't reroll that charge you failed. It's weird, but when it matters, it does really matter. If you're a Psycho unit, you also get -1 to this test. That's whatever. This guy is strange. You're mainly taking him for the +1 move, reroll, advance, and charge, but what he does do, in the Shamble attachment, he carries a lot of important enhancements. And he is good for that. So you can give him the one that gives the OC2 to the Poxwalkers, +1 toughness to the Poxwalkers. It's pretty good. This guy can also join Typhus in a squad of Poxwalkers, because Typhus joins first, then he joins second, because he's a Virion. And then that squad now has access in Champions of Contagion to 1 CP fight first, which is actually pretty good for the zombies. You can also then give him crit 5s, so every single zombie, they hit on 5s anyway, so now every zombie is just lethal hit on a crit, on a 5 to hit. Or, you know, you can also put him with a Malignant Playcaster, and then that's like, you know, every single zombie hit is like crit 5s, sustained lethal, which is really funny, and still fight first. So him being able to join with something else in that squad is pretty important for unlocking those stratagems for fight first, etc. So do bear that in mind, it's pretty good, and they like having that +1 move, reroll, advance, and charge. There's also the Strat in Shamble Rock for +1 move to a Poxwalker unit, so now they've got +2 to move, so now they move 7 inches, which is actually kind of speedy for Death Guard, so that's quite cute and quite fun. Also hilarious if you have a friend that plays Grey Knights or Thousand Suns, take Virulent Vectorium, give this guy Furnace of Plagues, because now he has 6 attacks with the Bell that are Dev Wounds anti-Psycho 2 up. So every 2 up you roll to wound against Thousand Sons of Grey Knights is just flat 2 Dev Wounds, which makes me so funny. You walk up to Mortarian and just go, bop, take 12 Dev Wounds. Or a Grandmaster Dread Knight, bop, take 12. Oh, a 5-man strike squad, bop, all dead. It's just so funny to me. I don't know why. It's just the idea of getting bing-bonged by the bing-bong boy. So yeah, he's okay. He's not going to be the first choice in any lists, but I think if you're running some Poxwalkers, he's an interesting consideration. Shamble Rot is basically auto-take, but most of the things he's probably going to sit on the shelf for a little bit. Biop, the Biop. The Biop is probably one of the most staple variants you'll ever run. We always run Biops. Biops have a 12-inch range, D6 blast shot, strength 7, AP 1, 2 damage. It's blast, full rolls to hit from the Lords of Virulence. Excellent. He has a weird precision 3 damage pistol. You can't shoot this and the grenade attack at the same time, but there'll be times where you're in combat. Eldar, Admech, and Guard have quite a few 3 wound models, like Skitarii Marshals, some of the Castellans for Guard. You can just potentially one-shot one of them with a random shot, so don't forget it exists, but it's not really going to do much, but it's flat 3 damage, so do shoot it. Even if you're in combat with, like, elite infantry, like, you might just pop one, so don't forget it's there. Flat 3 damage is no joke. Sorry guys, I'm going to quick sip. So, he also gives his squad lethal hits on all his weapons, so all the melee weapons, which are already lethal anyway, but also all the ranged weapons. So your plasma guns are lethal, your melter guns are lethal hits. All those weapons getting lethal hits is a big deal because he also lets the unit crit on 5s. So if you bring this guy and a Playcaster, you now are lethal sustained 5s in shooting and melee on every single weapon. That is damage. That is a lot of damage. And if you find any way to give yourself reroll hits and wounds, like a certain detachment called Virulent Vectorum, you will kill everything within 12 inches. It is a very, very powerful rule. This guy just adds reliability and damage to so many squads and is a natural companion to the Malignant Playcaster because the sustained and his lethals play so nice together, and then the crit fires is just a cherry on top of the cake. Cake. So it's really, really powerful. So expect to see a lot of these guys go out and buy one if you don't have one, maybe even 2. Also, if his unit kills an enemy unit in melee, he becomes 7 OC. He doesn't have to land the killing blow, so the squad can just wipe someone. So if you know, the random heavy plague weapon guy kills the last bottle, cool, he's still 7 OC. Actually more interesting than you think. Lots of times in the game, especially late game, where the squads have been reduced to like 1 or 2 guys, or maybe he's just alive as the lone character left, and now you've got a 7 OC Goober who can sit behind a wall, and like a random Rhino can't out OC him, or like, you know, these random scraps that are left on turn 5 can't out OC him, which is really nice. So having that ability there, again, it's more, you're looking more at the lethal 5s than the actual OC ability, but having the OC ability in there, combined in, is still a great ability to have. So overall, Barrel Edge Putrefier, pretty much going to be most lists. Super solid. If you're running Plague Marines, this guy and the Playcaster are like up there as the top considerations, and the Foul Blight Spawn. So definitely a great character. Oh god, talk about Fall from Grace. Oh, what a pile of shit. The Plague Surgeon once again retains its position as one of the worst characters in the Death Guard Codex. He has 4 attacks at strength 5, -2, 2 damage, so he has a 2 damage weapon on a Virion. So he's one of the hardest hitting Virions. He is the hardest hitting melee. However, his rules are garbage. He returns 1 slain bodyguard model to a unit. Not bad, actually. It is before primary is scored, so you can add another 2 OC to a point, or add it onto the other side of a wall where a primary is, and then you get to hold it and before you score primary. That's good. Also, battle shock tests. If you have a 10-man squad, you're down to 4. You now resurrect a guy. You're at 5. Cool. You're no longer below half. Cool. I'm sorry, Matt. I can't remember battle shocks. I'm having a brain fart. Let's go 5 to 6 to be safe. So 5 to 6. You ignore battle shock. It's done before battle shock test. You no longer have to battle shock. Excellent. Next up, the weirdest rule. I have no idea why he got this. He lost his ability to heal and instead now has this. You select an enemy unit in the fight phase. This model only, so the Plague Surgeon only, can now crit 5s. It's a shame we don't have a character in our army that could give us crit 5s just permanently all the time for the entire unit and not just himself. But, you know, where would we find one of those, right? Who knows? So he also then gets to crit on 4s if the target's below half strength. Ooh, with your 4 attacks. Wow, 2 auto crits. Ooh, at -2, 2 damage. Ooh. It's not that impressive, guys. Like, I don't understand what the point of this guy is. All we wanted him to do is give a squad a Feel No Pain or something. Like a 6-up Feel No Pain. That would have been fine. Like, that would have been, boom, done. Resurrect a model, D6, 6-up Feel No Pain. That would have been sick. Instead, they're trying to make him this, like, smash character thing. But if you want a smash character in a Plague Marine squad, just go get a Lord of Poxes. He's way better. Weird decision. But he does have one place, which is in Champions of Contagion. The Needle of Nurgle enhancement does let him resurrect D3 models a turn, which is actually starts to become pretty good at that point. You obviously could roll a bunch of 1s, but you could roll a bunch of 3s. In which case, then you get a lot of Plague Marines back, and that unit's going to be hard to fully kill, especially like if you don't overexpose it. So that instance is actually semi-usable. In every other detachment, unfortunately, this guy is what we refer to in Britain as utter dogshite. So I can't recommend you really go out, buy this guy and use him unless you are specifically looking to use the Needle of Nurgle in the Champions of Contagion. That is the one place he actually has some play. Tallyman. Oh, Tallyman. So the Tallyman is a weird model. He has basically no output. He punches with his fists. He has a single plasma gun. Plasma pistol, not even a gun. And it lost sustained D3. Rest in peace, infected plasma pistol. But who cares? This guy has one job and one job only. And it is to get you some CP. He does admittedly give the squad he's in ignore all modifiers to hit rolls and weapon skill, ballistic skill. Which is okay. Like, heavy plague weapons hit on 4s. So any minuses to hit really screw that unit over. Hitting on 5s is not great. It's kind of alleviated by his being able to get sustained now, which makes that feel a lot better. But the odds that that comes up enough to be relevant aren't enough to justify him. I'd rather just have crit 5 sustained rather than ignore the modifiers. But that being said, you can, you know, just take him for his CP gen. Also, by the way, the ignore modifiers is also optional, which means you get to keep positive modifiers, so you can keep +1s to hit and just ignore the bad ones. Just pointing that out quickly. But yeah, this guy, what he does in the command phase, you roll 2 dice, on a 7-up, you gain a command point. To do that, you have to be on the battlefield, so you can't be inside a Rhino, you can't be in reserves. So most people are going to use this guy to sit on your home objective and try and farm some CP. He's 40 points, and for that job, he is perfect. So even though he brings very little synergy, he brings very little output, the synergy he brings is giving you command points to use elsewhere on good units. But with him and the Demon Prince, he's making them cheaper, he's giving you extra CP, you're going to be able to do a lot of stratagems, and our stratagems are very good, as I said. For 40 points, I think it might be 40 or 45, whatever it is, cheap. He sits on home, he rolls 2 dice a turn, and tries to get you a command point. And that is all I need him to do. And that's all you need him to do. You, the player at home, the guy, the woman, whoever you are, you just need to sit on your home and roll 7s. That's it. And if you get you a CP, excellent. If you don't, oh well, he's still screening out your home from deep strikes. That is it. That is the Tallyman. I hope you roll 7s. I hope you get many CP, and if not, he's just 40-point character. If you've got some spare points, you don't want any enhancements, chuck him in, try to get some CP. He's honestly, I'm not going to sit here and say he's amazing, but he's real. When you just want someone to sit at home, and you just want some command points, just go get a Tallyman. Simple as. And then last but not least, the Iconbearer. On par for maybe the trashiest character with the Plague Surgeon. They murdered this guy. He used to have a really good ability, which has been taken away. He is effectively a 4-wound bolt gun marine. Yay! Woo! He is, however, the longest ranged variant. So if you wanted to put him in a squad of Plague Marines because you're insane, and those Plague Marines wanted to shoot and kill a unit, he could fire his bolt gun 24 inches away and tag another unit so that you can use the Plague Marine rule to tag that unit and not the one you've just killed. Every other variant is like 12-inch range. So he has a bit more range and a bit more capacity to proc the Plague Marines rule. However, it's still garbage. He gives 1 OC to the squad he leads, which is actually good. Like, I will say this is good, but it's not enough to justify him. Because the problem is, his second rule is just not great. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, you can select one unit within 12. That unit has to be battle shocked, and he's no longer battle shocked. This is possibly the worst written way to do this, because the problem is, you can't even save yourself on primary. I have a squad in the middle. They are under half strength. They are not battle shocked at the start of the command phase. Halfway through the command phase, when they roll their battle shock, they become battle shocked, and I don't hold primary. But this guy can only unbattle shock a unit at the start of a phase, meaning even though it'd be real good right now for me to unbattle shock those guys so I could score primary, I've got to wait till the movement phase, which is after primary scored. So he's effectively useless. Like, the only thing he's good for is when someone battle shocks them, and like you drew a card that needs you to do a containment or some form of action, then you can unbattle shock it and then go do it. But it's just, for all of the other variants we've talked about, the Foul Blight spawn, the Playcaster is not a variant but still a character that can join, Lord of Poxes, Biologist Putrefier, the Noxious Blightbringer even, they just offer so much more than this guy does. You are paying 45 or 50 points, whatever it is, for a glorified bolt gun and plus 1 OC to a squad. It really doesn't matter. It really does not matter that much. But this is, again, on par with the Plague Surgeon. Unfortunately, to leave on a bad note, The Iconbearer, honestly, you know what the coolest thing you can do with an Iconbearer is? Cut off that bolt gun, chuck on a plasma or a melter gun, and just have him as a cool looking Plague Marine. That's what I do. And it worked great. And no one ever looks at him and goes, oh, is that an Iconbearer? Just go, no, it's a Plague Marine. Oh, okay, cool, that's fine. I like the look of it. Just do that instead. Iconbearer, honestly, him and the Plague Surgeon and maybe the Winged Demon Prince, but even the Winged Demon Prince is far and above better than the Plague Surgeon and the Iconbearer. These are the only duffs, really. Everything else is super viable, super exciting, and has play. So do bear that in mind. But yeah, this guy, cannot recommend him, unfortunately. So that brings us to the end of our characters, though. Yay, we did it, everyone. Sorry, it's been quite a long video. We do have a lot of characters. But I hope you guys did enjoy it. I hope you guys got my opinion on every single character, what I think about them, what they're capable of, what they're good at, and maybe some little things you can do with them. The next one coming up is going to be the full unit analysis, where we look at the non-character data sheets. And we've also got some detachment reviews coming out shortly after that. So I hope you guys do enjoy the content. Thank you to everyone on the screen right now. If you're looking to get some models for yourself, check out our affiliate link at Element Games in the description. If you want to learn how to play the game a little better, go check out Vanguard Tactics. That's like Vanguard Tactics, Aiden. They can help you to be coaching, masterclass videos, and battle reports. Check out our friends at Saltire Games, who are right on the end and up. They make disgustingly resilient podcast gaming aids, so you can get some of those to help out you remembering where your afflictions are, your deep strike ranges, all that stuff. And thank you to our that way. Aha, YouTube members. Thank you so much for our Plague Marines again. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, a comment, and a subscribe. It really helps out the channel grow. And if you really like it, consider becoming a Plague Marine. But last but not least, thank you, the watcher, the viewer, the listener. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you all for the next episode. Stay on, everyone. Take care, and I'll catch you all very soon. Bye-bye.